All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball, episode 22, if I'm not mistaken. 22nd episode. Now, obviously, like we mentioned in our little trade deadline video, this one's pretty much gonna just cover everything for midseason. I guess we're gonna like end midseason roundup, kind of what we called it last season. So, gonna be hopefully a little more organized version of pretty much the exact same thing we did last year. Talk about some surprises up to this point, talk about some disappointments and any other storylines. Look back at our preseason predictions just a little bit, just at that halfway point. So gonna get right into this. Pretty much replaces the open discussion portion. Christian, let's get into one of your biggest surprises.
Awesome. My biggest surprise here is, I think you probably agree with this, is the Commanders. I mean,
Yeah.
I know a lot of coming into the draft, Jaden Daniels, obviously, it's been stated, Commanders, they're going to pick Jaden Daniels 100% of the time, no matter what. They were looking at him. It was going to be their pick. He was going to be their pick, no matter what. And they went by that. I know he had a lot of doubt coming into this team. Didn't really expect a lot there. He had his first couple games were a little iffy there. But that one Bengals game is what really started the resurgence for this whole team around him. I mean, Brian Robinson finally got going in the run game. Terry McLaurin,
Terry, man.
finally, scary Terry, finally living up to that name. He's finally getting adjusted up into the pass game. He finally has a competent quarterback. And I mean, what Terry's been able to do with mediocre quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels for being for being the best quarterback he's had already, he's already making a difference on the Commanders team. And from the standings right now, they are the one seed in the actually no, excuse the second seed. Excuse me, they are the second seed behind the Detroit Lions at 7-2. So they are looking really scary there. You know, the Ravens game did show his true colors just a little bit there, but to keep it at a close game against the
I definitely
Ravens,
wouldn't say to call it true colors. I mean, no, he's just facing a better defense.
that's what I mentioned right now. He still managed to keep it a very close game there, and that's gonna pretty much just welcome to the NFL moment against a really high-powered team there. This Commanders team is looking really scary. That's definitely one of my surprises here. After the Commanders been pretty shitty the past couple of years there. So them now the trajectory of the NFC could change. Now maybe the Commanders, they're gonna be owning everyone now.
Absolutely. At least for that NFC East, you could definitely say, he's definitely holding it down. We look at their two losses. Early season loss against the Buccaneers when their defense still was playing at that top level, and of course a great defense in the Baltimore Ravens. So we see him; he's been able to carve everyone else up pretty good. We see the schedule they got coming up doesn't look too bad considering what they've had to face so far. Definitely very excited to see what they could do. And obviously, like we said, we always talk about their sneaky good defense, picking up Marshawn Lattimore. That's just going to alleviate so much more pressure from Jaden Daniels up to that.
You're speaking of the schedule, really looking at the schedule, the only two teams that's really going to give them trouble is Steelers, Eagles, Falcons. That's about it. Other than that, it's Cowboys, it's Titans, Saints, and then Cowboys once again there. So obviously this record for them could be solidified there. But again, Steelers maybe could say two with just the Eagles and the Falcons there. But with maximum, at least three of these teams probably give them some work there. But this remaining schedule for the Commanders is looking really well there. And who knows, maybe they could catch up to the one seed from the Lions.
Absolutely. And obviously, talking about the Lions in that division, obviously, a couple weeks ago, this one looked a lot better. But the Minnesota Vikings, another team that, we definitely have to talk about. Obviously, what haven't we talked about them? They obviously had that phenomenal 5-0 start, starting to slip. Sure, are we seeing reminiscence of that 2016 season when they ended up missing the playoffs after that 5-0 start? But regardless, the revelation that Sam Darnold has been for this team, despite losing their rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, definitely, obviously, looking a lot ahead of schedule, and in large part because of that Brian Flores defense, which we also do have to say has been kind of stagnant in these last games, specifically that second half against my Rams on that Thursday nighter. Are they kind of falling back down to earth? Was it just too good to be true? We'll just wait and see. I mean, same thing, coming out of a very strong division, that NFC North. A lot to be told here, but I mean, they're still holding on to that fifth seed. It's going to be hard to get back into that top four because of how good the Lions have been, which is something that we'll get into in just a little bit. But with Justin Jefferson, a lot is possible for this offense.
Yeah, and really, we already saw the storylines with them coming into the season. No quarterback, Sam Darnold. Can he still do it there? And we thought hopefully for the most part he wasn't gonna get in that slump that he did. Not him specifically, but the Vikings as a whole. In 2016, starting 5-0, that's one of the big things. And they lost the first game against. I'm already spacing out. Their first loss
game was against the Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions. There you go. And then having another loss to the Rams once again there. You might start to see it slip there.
Those were close losses.
They
Look,
were
we're not
very
going to take
close
that away.
losses. The Rams game, that's another controversial one. You can put it how you want it there, but still a very impactful loss there. But Sam Darnold finally getting adjusted. Justin Jefferson, no matter who his quarterback is, he's still going to ball out. But again, just the pieces around him. When you're looking at the defensive side, that's obviously another big factor there. Brian Flores, really great defensive line there. Like how you mentioned, past couple of games have been a little iffy, but Brian Flores,
which of course they did kind of pick it up against the Colts, but in
the second half they did.
Looking at, I mean, just overall, I mean, with only allowing, I believe, 13 points in that entire game. I mean, good signs for them, but it's the Colts. It's a struggling offense in general. Offensively is what was a surprise. I mean, Sam Darnold had nothing going. What do you have? 2-3 interceptions in that game, which I know you're facing guys like Zaire.
Zaire, what are you talking about?
On the Colts defense, I forget. Zaire Franklin and guys like Kenny Moore. Obviously, a very formidable Colts defense, but not to that level that you would have thought that should have given this team at least what we've expected of Minnesota to give them that type of struggle. So offensively, that's going to end up being the detriment to me. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they do end up missing the playoffs, but regardless, to this point, they're looking great. Just wait and see if they actually have that bounce back momentum.
Yeah, and then another surprise for me too, and this is one team that I was very high on, specifically on the Cardinals.
Of course.
I mean, as of right now, they are on top of the division of the NFC West. This is a very wide open
Rams
division.
are coming.
You have them up top at 5-4. You have the Rams next at 4-4. Then you got the Niners at 4-4 as well too. So that's a pretty much a tiebreaker between you two. And then the Seahawks at 4-5, which they had their little downfall, which
Which I think in general we could just talk about the NFC West being the big surprise.
Yeah, exactly. We expected the NFC West to kind of just be ran through just by the Niners there. Yeah. Maybe the Rams having a slight comeback there. Seahawks losing after being 3-0 there. But specifically the Cardinals, and this is the one thing that I really kind of does make me happy, it's Kyler. The first couple games, he was looking great against that Bills in week 1, and the whole team just fell apart in the second half. Josh Allen bounced it back. The next couple games,
week 2 against my Rams, phenomenal really, showing overall.
He really showed it against your guys' Rams.
And he had trouble replicating that for a couple weeks, but it was until last week, if I'm not mistaken, he really showed out. Obviously, this past week he, obviously struggled. I think only like 150 yards of offense, but that run game really starting to pick it up for the Cardinals. Just
with James Conner and then
Trey Benson.
You can't forget DeMarcado as well too. He's also been picking up there. We saw them. Yeah, they had a really great showing against the Bears, who have a good defense too, right? So you can't let that let to the side there. And that's the run game really showed out. Kyler looked phenomenal. The pass game was good. Marvin Harrison Jr. He obviously had a.
He's having his own struggles. He's hit or miss recently.
He's been hit or miss here, but the whole team around the Cardinals, just like a perfect example of what the Rams were last season. This team's better than what their record says there, and it's mainly because of Kyler Murray and that run game. This defense, you could say, look, it's very underrated defense. They could get it done there. It's just the flaws and the little shots in the foot that get them. Wasn't able to help them win these games for the past couple of weeks there. But from right now, this NFC, I'm not going to say wide open, but it's going to be very, very close, specifically just because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers still have a chance. The Rams are having a really great resurgence there. The NFC North is still packed. I mean, Lions 7-1, Vikings 6-2, Green Bay Packers 6-3, Chicago Bears 4-4. There's still life all in the NFC North for all of it to make the playoffs. It just all relies on the Chicago Bears. And really, that's really about it. This NFC West, it's going to be, come December, it's going to be really, 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 really tight. But this Cardinals team, I'm still rooting for them to, I had them at the 7th seed coming into this season. Right now, they're the 4th seed, right? Hoping that stays there, and Kyler, he has another bounce back and really leads this Cardinals team to have a really big step up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just apart from that, if we go into the AFC side, big storyline, the Chiefs are 8-0, and obviously no one really would have been too surprised thinking that. Aside from the fact that we've heard, up until maybe week 7, they haven't played any type of really good football overall. I mean, just seems to be getting just lucky wins here and there. Everything just seems to be going their way. People love to talk about the refs. I mean, in all honesty, it's not as big as a problem people really want to think about.
It's gonna be bad.
Officiating has been a problem all season,
but,
and for years.
For the Chiefs, it gets out of hand.
I don't really see it being out of hand. If I'm being honest, it really hasn't been too far skewed. I mean, there's look at the games that the Rams have been playing. Both sides have been pretty terrible for the referees. So look, I'm not gonna discredit the Chiefs wins. They got the job done despite not really playing good football. But ever since that DeAndre Hopkins trade, really seems to have been picking up. Obviously, somewhat of a resurgence of that Raider game 2 weeks ago, but last week against the Buccaneers, this offense really started to flourish. 2 touchdowns for DeAndre. Just overall, this offense is looking phenomenal. And obviously, what we talk about, that defense really has been carrying this struggling offense. Now they pick up Josh Uche, and just in general, everything just seems to be falling their way. And this is going to be scary coming into December and just January football.
Yeah, and you're looking at the remaining schedule: Broncos, Bills, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Browns, Texans, Steelers.
Don't count away the Broncos, though.
Yeah, exactly. They could honestly keep it a close matchup. This is going to be their first meeting so far in their division series.
They're still in that playoff hunt.
Exactly. They're still in that hunt there, But we saw the beating the Bo Nix received from the Ravens team. Maybe he might keep it close just because it's a division rival. Division rivals, they usually keep it close, for most of the divisions here. But the Chiefs seem, like I said, not really a surprise there that they are 8-0. And, they could
just
finish
surprised how they're there.
Exactly. Who knows? Maybe Jameis right there on the 15th.
I think we can forget about that realistically.
Watch, man. But yeah, those are probably the biggest surprises there. Like we said, when it comes to big surprises and accomplishments, we got the biggest disappointments there. And obviously we know the biggest one, talk about all the time, and it's without a doubt, it is the Cowboys there. 3-5, nothing's going wrong with this Cowboys team, flourishing both sides of the ball with injuries. Dak Prescott's going to be on IR for a couple of weeks. CD still day-to-day with his shoulder injury. I already mentioned if it's minor, he'll have the chance to play against Philly, if not 1 to 2 weeks there. Yeah. You pick up Jonathan Mingo just yesterday from the trade for the Panthers to hopefully boost up that receiving core, because if CD is out, it's going to be Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Jonathan Mingo's probably going to be in the lineup, Turpin there as well, and then Florino might get a couple snaps there. I'm not going to say underdeveloped receiving core, but it's a receiving core that doesn't quite have the chemistry there. We saw with this rescrum when we had Cooper, we had Gallup, and then we had CD. Their chemistry, the three of them, was really good. When we're looking at this side, we have multiple receivers that, won't be able to get the separation on the ball, what they need there. The only dude I would have hope for is Jalen Tolbert, but that's about it. Maybe Turpin because of his speed. The defensive side, we're still missing Micah. We're still missing D-Law. Bland still might be out. Both sides of the ball. Jerry, the biggest one there, Jerry not getting pieces in the offseason. It's just very disappointing for this whole Cowboys team. And at this point, I've already said it before, just embrace the tank there. I've already mentioned everything else. Kept this one short for this. Probably the most biggest disappointment of the season so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you overextended that Cowboys bit. Probably, you say you talk about it too much. Yeah, still talking a bit much about it. But yeah, obviously, other disappointments. We already kind of got into the Niners, and you can't say all you want. They have injuries too, but in general, they just haven't really lived up to everything despite the injuries. And I know, hey, they're getting McCaffrey back this week, at least expecting to against the Buccaneers, a game that they really need to have him back. So see if that can start turning the season around, as what we've been saying, because, they're in the 3rd spot in the division because of losing that game against the Rams. That's going to hurt them a lot moving forward, especially if the Rams continue to play at this high level as we continue to go. Another disappointment that, I know we got into it pretty deeply last week, but, Anthony Richardson and the Colts in general, I know you had them winning the division. You had Ant Rich. I'm sure you had them at least somewhere in those MVP leaderboards.
MVP, I want to say MVP.
No, I'm saying leaderboards. I'm saying maybe you had them, at least as a finalist, just because you were so high into him early season.
This is one we really discussed it, and it really does suck to see the way Ant Rich, the Colts, Ant Rich, he's going to be their future. You just got to develop him, man. You got to give him time. And knowing he is a project QB, knowing beforehand, it's going to take time for him. You're benching him. That's not how. Look what happened with Bryce Young. Too late on him. Not too late. You gave up on him too early. You benched him. You come in. He gets a nice, pretty good win there. You need to just develop these guys. And I'm still having a lot of hope for Ant Rich there. And we're looking at this division. They're 2 games behind the Texans. Not saying that, it's going to be like a really big shot for them to win the division. I'm not saying that. But just being 2 games behind the Texans, really, at this, you just got to hope the Texans have shitters, which is not going to happen. 99%.
Well, if we're going to look at it that way, there definitely are chances. We see how they came out against the Jets recently. Another tough game. I forget what their game is this week, but they have
they have the Lions.
Exactly.
They
have the Lions this week. That's no pushover.
They have the Chiefs and they have the Ravens.
Exactly. They have that rough stretch that the Texans are going to have. That could change things in the South. We'll just have to wait and see. That's either going to change things in the South or really show us a lot about this Texans team really catapulting themselves as contenders. But
the Colts, they have winnable games. Outside of the Bills, outside of the Lions, maybe the Jets, Broncos, Titans, Giants, Jaguars. These are all very winnable games. You could even include the Jets there, but the way the Jets are bouncing back, that's why I wouldn't even include them. It is a possibility. It is very, very slow, right? You can call me all the biases just because I'm really defending Aaron Rich here, but like I said, the Houston's they're gonna
and I don't want to call it bias because I'm into Aaron Rich too, but I guess I'm trying to be the voice of reason overall because
and
what we're
seeing.
Teams.
The Houston Texans, they're a way better developed team there. The Colts, the quarterback situation, that's really the thing that's really holding them back.
And just forget his play. Just we're always going back to this, but him checking himself out, just the leadership doesn't seem to be there.
That's how you get the locker room by doing that. That you're just losing faith in the locker room for just doing so. Now, again, 2 games behind this Texans team. The Texans, they're gonna have to. That sophomore slump's gonna have to hit CJ. The Colts are gonna have to make a run in this AFC.
It's tough to see. I mean, like we're saying, we have seen, signs of the Texans struggling, maybe Aaron Rich, specifically that Thursday night game. But I mean, he's got to turn around eventually. We're gonna end up seeing some of that rookie year CJ. But I mean, any other storylines that we can get into? I mean, obviously, I guess the easy one to talk about, the Lions just being an absolute buzzsaw. I mean, the run game has been phenomenal. That receiving game, even without Jameson Williams, which we'll see when he gets back. I know
without Hutchinson as well.
That too, but with Jameson Williams not being in, being that suspension, and he had that arrest. We'll see what ends up happening with that if he's actually going to come back this week. I mean, I haven't actually seen anything overall with that, but and then of course getting all that production from guys like Tim Patrick and Khalif Raymond. So, I mean, we'll see. Whether JMO comes back or not, that's all still to be seen. But regardless, I mean, this team is an absolute buzz. So I know I just slightly mentioned it earlier, but Sonic and Knuckles. I mean, that's obviously been the strongest point of this offense.
That 1-2 punch, between them on the running back side there. Those are the really nightmares for rush defense, and they've really been kicking them. I know Gibbs, he's been getting a couple more touches, but Monty, that just bulldozer of a running back that he is there, it's deadly duel, especially come playoff time.
Absolutely, and I mean, look, I could talk about my Rams. I pretty much already really got into what I want to say from our last recap, but yeah, to go from 1-4 to 4-4, really, to go into second place in the division from last week. I mean, look, definitely have a lot of possibilities for this team. I had them as my Super Bowl pick. We're gonna get into something about that just a little bit, but I mean, the Rams are coming in at least to get into that playoff picture. We'll see what can happen with them, but I think we can get into our playoff and award check-in. So I think let's take a look at our award picks from before the season started. I mean, gonna have them both up right here on the screen. What's something that stands out at you that you really want to change, or you think different?
A lot of mine really got to. I mean, I had Josh Allen at MVP, and it looked really good, but I think that's gonna be subject to. You know what?
I mean,
I'm gonna keep Allen.
Okay, we're gonna go.
I'm gonna keep Allen. I'm going to keep Allen.
I think realistically, just say what you actually would keep.
Yeah, what I'm going to keep, I'm first going to keep
Allen. You're probably changing a lot.
I'm keeping Allen as MVP. I'm keeping TJ Watt for defensive player. And I'm keeping Raheem Morris for coach of the year there. I really want to keep Kyler, but I know I can't because Kirko now has the really, the long-term winners there, so I'm going to have to change.
That's what I'm looking at. I mean, my favorite. I love the Kirko pick. As of right now, I'm really happy with that.
Defensive rookie as well.
But defensive rookie, that's my strongest pick.
Yeah.
Was there some bias in it? Sure, but I mean, Jared Verse has been easily, far and away, the best rookie on defense. I mean, leading the league, leading rookies for pressures, sacks. I mean, just in general, he's been a force. Being able to play alongside all that whole young D line, I mean, he's just looked phenomenal. Apart from that, not really much we can say. I mean, offensive rookie, we definitely got it wrong. 2 struggling guys in Marvin and
Daniel's really looking like
exactly.
The favorite.
I mean, that like what we just talked about in general. I mean, he got shots for MVP. Probably won't happen, but definitely looking like a lock for that. I mean, offensive player probably gonna be Derrick Henry in my eyes. I mean, early season Saquon looked great for me, but doesn't look like it's gonna end up happening. MVP, realistically for me, I think I gotta say Lamar. I think he's going for his 3rd MVP, man. I hate to say it.
He is looking like it as well after starting 0-2 and finally bouncing back there. I was gonna change it to. I'm looking at it right now. Lamar's finally picking up, but I'm gonna stick to Allen. I know he's gonna have some sort of resurgence. Come towards the end of the season to really pick up this.
No, look, last season we both said Joe Burrow. I changed it to Lamar midseason. I'm doing it again. I'm expecting that that just second half to really solidify it. It's going to be a game just like that Niners game last season that really solidified him at that MVP.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be one of those games around those later teen weeks, and really think he's gonna lock up that spot. I mean, I had Patrick Mahomes, really expected him to have that carry job, and those first 7 weeks are really gonna hurt him. Is the second half of the season, if he just goes on a tear, is that gonna give him an upside? We'll wait and see, but I'm not really expecting that. I mean, let's give a slight look at both of our brackets. I mean, they won't be up because I'll see if I put them up. It might be a little hard to fit them, but regardless, I mean, I'll just look at mine first. I mean, just both of us, they both look pretty good. I mean,
I did go 5 so far. I did go 5 for 7 on both conferences.
You got 5% on both so far. I'm 4 for 7, but regardless, a lot of these, I mean, a lot of the teams that are still in the playoff hunt, the Cardinals, they're in there right now at the top of the division. Yeah. The Rams are half a game out, so my Rams, those two could flip-flop real quick, and we could both be at, you could end up at 4, I could be at 5, but a lot of this still looking pretty good. I think the biggest thing that we can say for yours being specifically you having the Lions at the 1 seed, that's obviously looking pretty good.
Really just what throws off my bracket is just Cowboys and Niners. Yeah, really the 1 or 2 thing. Everything
but that's obviously the surprise of the season.
Yeah, there's obviously the surprises there. But having the Lions at the 1 seed so far, that's really looking good as so far. And then for the obviously same thing with the AFC there, and then at the Bills at the 2 as well.
No, I mean, actually looking at it right now, you have the 1 seeds down to a T right now.
I have the 1 seeds on lock, and I also have the 2nd seeds on lock too. Well, for the AFC side at least. Yeah. The Bills with the 2 seed at least. Or the AFC
I guess
side.
Neither of us saw the Commanders coming, which you remember me talking about this off camera. I was so close to putting the Commanders to win the division. Ended up just leaving them a little lower. Really wish I would have went with my gut there. Definitely, I mean, a little bit by bit, I kind of.
I mean, the brackets look fairly even for the most part. They're not too horrible there, but there's just some slight outliers in there too. So I'm not really mad at how this bracket.
No, I'm definitely not mad too. And I mean, like what I was saying, almost not even too important to look at the brackets so far because so much is going to change. I think the main thing that we do have to look into, I mean, let's look back at our Super Bowl picks, and I'll let you go into it first. I mean, yours is still looking kind of decent.
Mine is looking pretty decent, but just because how the Texans are looking, I mean, come on, I kind of had to switch it to the Chiefs just because of the way they're really playing right now. So I'm probably gonna have to change it now, unfortunately. But the Lions, Chiefs, Super Bowl, that could possibly,
which we were so close to getting last season, but I mean, you took it right out of my mouth. I mean, I had Chiefs and Rams. Obviously, did I have some biases in there? Sure. And the way the Rams are looking, I'm very tempted to just keep my pick and say the Rams are going to go on a run, but I'm gonna have to go with you. I'm switching the Rams for the Lions. I think there's just no one in the NFC that looks like can beat them right now. And obviously, the Buccaneers got that 1 win on them, but the Buccaneers are a different team, so it's going to be hard to see them winning. And sure, the Rams played them phenomenally in Week 1. The Rams are a better team than Week 1, so can I say that we get some magic and get our revenge in the playoffs? I would hope so, but I gotta say that the Lions are gonna go to the Super Bowl. And it's like I say, gotta hold on to the Chiefs pick as no one seems to take them down so far. But I think that's basically gonna do it. We'll see. We'll check back in once again in another half season to get to the end of it. Let's get into Thursday night. Let's close this out. Bengals Ravens, tough divisional matchup. 2nd place and 3rd place in the AFC North. What's your take on this?
Yeah, so obviously, look, the battle of Burrow and Lamar is going to keep continuing to thrive on in this AFC North, and we see this. It's been pretty on and off between the wins here and there, but look at the both sides of the ball, right? Cincinnati, they're having such a great resurgence now that the Burrow's he's just slinging it, man. I mean, multiple touchdown throws each week in there, for the most part, +3 for the past couple of weeks, and he's been really getting it going. The connection with Jamar Chase is finally getting there. Mike Gesicki, and accusation, he had it. Probably one of his best games so far this season there with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns that we went over. 2 touchdowns that we went over in the recap.
Which is something that I really wanted. So that was kind of one of my main things I was going to talk about the Bengals. They seem to be hitting their stride. They're looking like a better team. It's just the defense
that's really going to struggle for them. And,
which I think, it's going to be, I mean, if we just look at, the offenses are the strong points. It's just the Ravens get the upper hand because of that defense. And, like what I was saying, those 3 games before last week that they had given up over 30 points consecutively, they really cleaned it up last week. And looking into this, comparing the Ravens defense, and, can you say, is Trey White going to have a resurgence on this team? You never know. Is he going to, at least that veteran presence that can help young guys like Nate Wiggins? that too. But I mean, just overall, I am expecting the Ravens secondary. I think the Ravens secondary overall is going to be the difference in this game. I mean, I'll just put it now. We can make our picks. Gonna go with the Ravens. I think pretty comfortably. I think it's not gonna be as close as a lot of people think. I'm sure it's a divisional game. You would expect it to be close, but I think the Ravens are just gonna run away with this one.
Yeah, and then just the way Derrick Henry is doing, going to take advantage of that Ravens defense. Just get more adjusted for Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers too, getting open on the front.
See if Isaiah Likely can finally get in some action.
Oh yeah, finally. Let's hope for that there, but still gonna be a pretty decent battle between Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. But again, just looking at the trajectory of both these teams, the Ravens just seem to be the better team there. And obviously, finishing out with the parlay there. So obviously, David, you got the Bengals, so let's kick it off.
Yeah, road team first. So get into it. I think, I seem to be messing up the quarterback pick every single week. I don't remember last week how I did. We can go in and
you got Rodgers on the over, no?
I think I did. I'm not sure. I feel like I hit less, but regardless, I mean, I think we did pretty rough on that probably. But regardless, let's get into this one. For Joe Burrow, I'm gonna say under 269.5 yards. I just have a feeling, like what I've been saying, that secondary is definitely gonna have a huge impact, and it's gonna limit Burrow pretty much. For Jamar Chase on the receiving end, as much as Burrow's gonna be limited, I do think that Jamar is gonna get enough of his targets. He'll get over 83.5. He'll be he'll be the one bright spot overall. I don't know. T. Higgins does look like he will be playing. Not expecting him to be much of a factor in the end. And on the running game, Chase Brown expecting over 58.5. I know Khalil Herbert's in there. I don't think he's gonna get that much usage just yet. Even if he does play, probably wouldn't even be active just yet. He's just gonna be 2 days since the trade. But I mean, even if he does get in there, it's gonna be hard to really get him that active.
Yeah, and I got the Ravens on this one. So Lamar Jackson, 234.5 passes. I'm gonna go with the over on that. He's just been slinging the ball this past couple of weeks, and obviously the help from the run game from Derrick Henry's been a big factor in that. And same thing with Derrick Henry. I got him going over 95.5 rush yards and over 0.5 touchdowns there. Going with the safe bets here. We just see what Derrick Henry's been able to do, racking up multiple TDs in the game, and obviously, like I said, being a big, huge factor in that running game. Pretty much averaging 100 yards a game for the most part there. So hopefully this parlay, it'll hit and be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, we've had our good ones, we've had our rough ones. Let's hope this one does a little bit, or at least we get our picks to hit this one. Yeah, but that's gonna do it for this one. Hoping to get a good Thursday nighter. I mean, we've obviously had a couple of rough ones. Let's get another nice one into this one. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you right back for the Week 10 recap.